Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and joining us, of course, because it's his show. Why wouldn't he be here? Lee Cockerell. Hello, Lee.
Hi, Julie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I have something to follow up on from last episode. You mentioned that your grandmother said she'd go to a goat rodeo just for attention. I was in Skagway, Alaska, and there was a play. They were going to put on a play. So they had these ladies around town promoting the play. One of them was up in a window and she was dressed for that time period that the play took place and was calling out to people. And I said, "You look wonderful. Can I get your photo?" And she hollered down, "Honey, if I would I be sitting or no, what did she say? Honey, would I be hanging out of a window if I didn't want attention?" And I thought, "Oh my goodness, that's probably me. That's probably why I do most of what I do, just for the attention."
Yeah, we all like attention. That's
Of course we do.
what I tell Priscilla. Pay attention to me when I get home.
Yeah, that's all. That's why dogs are so good. They
Maybe
give
one
you
of the
nothing
best
but
things we
attention.
do as managers, leaders, and parents is pay attention to what's going on with our family, our kids, and our people instead of so focused on the P&L statement. We ought to probably be focused on the people. That's a good analogy there. Of yeah, we all want to make sure we know what's going on so we make the right decisions.
Yeah, yeah, and think about that, how much of what people do in the workplace, good or bad, has been done just for the attention. I bet a lot of it.
And actually, I think that's subconscious wanting attention. Sometimes they don't even realize why they're acting out. And it's because they feel probably insecure or don't believe they matter. And yeah, I think everything, happened sometime before we were 6 years old. And comes back to bite us or make us better sometimes later on, depending on the environment you grew up in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's true. I'm a middle child. That's probably why I've done like 3,700 podcast episodes all combined. Just so someone will notice me because middle children grow up feeling like no one knows they're there.
We like you now. You're okay. We'll leave you.
Well, let me say before we get on the topic, if you are planning a vacation this upcoming year, get in touch with our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. You can reach them at 407-442-2694. It does not cost you anything extra. You may not know this, but when you take a cruise, as an example, the price to work with a vacation planner is already built into it, whether you use it or not. So take advantage of that and call Magical Vacation Planner. Okay, Lee, I have a question from a listener that I think this one comes very close to home for you. Somebody said that, well, all right, he actually uses your coffee shop as an example because he's talking about how customers will leave. And he said, well, Lee, why did you switch your coffee spot? You mentioned other locations in the past. Were they not committed? So it's a direct question with a bigger meaning. Lee, why did you're very vocal about going to Coffee for the Soul. Why did you switch to go there in the first place?
Yeah. Well, I went to Starbucks for years because there weren't really other people in that business, really. And that's really a lot more coffee shop type businesses are opening now because it's turned out to be a gathering place and a place you can work and it's become profitable. And so at first, the place I go was a Brazilian place. A Brazilian lady opened it in the same location I go now for the Colombian Coffee for the Soul. And frankly, it was just the environment, how I felt when I went in there. The people were so good. It was clean as I said, the bathroom was clean and they don't run out of toilet paper and the music was great and the Wi-Fi worked and the people were nice and just very efficient. And that was not the case at Starbucks. It seemed like most people weren't that happy. And And by the way, they gave you your coffee in a china cup, not in a paper cup. And just everything about it was just pleasant, pleasant. I loved the environment, and you know, when you sit in a place of work, everything matters. Kind of, you don't realize what the music's doing, and the cleanliness, and the people coming in, and the lighting. They raised the lighting, so it's really nice and light in there. The air conditioning was perfect. The food was great. So I went there, and then the Brazilian place closed during the pandemic because they couldn't pay the rent. Everybody was going out of business in these little businesses, and then about a year and a half, 2 years later, after the pandemic ended, this Colombian lady bought the same joint and turned it into a Colombian coffee house, which is called Coffee for the Soul. And I was waiting for it. I was so disappointed. I didn't have any place to go for 2 years. Priscilla said, "Yeah, you had to stay here with me." And um, I went, and it's go, man, it was even better. And still today, the lady had one place 5 years ago, and today she has 17 of these businesses. One next to McDonald's in Oak Brook, Illinois, right next to the McDonald's headquarters. You can imagine the number of people there. And it's just consistent. And I'm sure those people who work there are not happy, but you'll never know it. You'll never know. So they made a big deal out of me because I was the first customer, and I come there every day. They assigned me my own personal cup, and had my name written on the bottom of it, and Mr. Lee when I came in every day, and you know, you go back to a place where your people are excited to see you. I mean, really, that at the end of the day, the coffee's very good. It's outrageously expensive, just like Starbucks. They all charge a lot for the coffee, but and I have meetings. I spend 3 hours there some days doing work on the Wi-Fi. They don't, that's fine. But you know, something I learned too, which might be interesting to people out there in the world. I was thinking about it the other day. I would say 80% of the people that go there are Hispanic or Portuguese, or I mean, they are Latin. And the lady who owns it is Latin, and the menus, it's the kind of food you'd get in South America and sandwiches and everything. So then in the afternoon, I often go to Foxtail across the street. Just to, I go again in the afternoon, just kind of get out of the house. And uh, the customers there are, I would say, mostly Middle Eastern and Black. And lot of them are students that are studying there. It's amazing. Like half the women are, you know, have their hair covered. And then I go back to Starbucks. I want to check that out after I saw this. It became very clear. These are two, it's amazing. And Starbucks is really old white men like me. So, you know, and maybe an age group or exposure in their life that they don't feel comfortable going to a place where there's a lot of other international or Muslims, or I don't know. But it's amazing how a place can become attracted to just a different group of people that are in the kind of doing the same things. And it just happens organically. It just happens. And I'm paying a lot of attention to that now. And there's something there for marketing, you know, the product, something reaches those people. And the people at both places are really good, really, really. They have hardly any turnover, you know, which is makes it great, because if you have turnover, they're not going to say Mr. Lee when I come in if they don't know me. And then when people know you, they give you better service, frankly. I mean, I hate to say it, at the end of the day, if you know somebody, they know you, they take care of you better. So there's I think you get rewarded for doing business with the same doctor, same tax accountant, the same grocery store, the same, and you know, in your little community, probably everybody knows you, and they wonder where those out of towners come from. But it's true, and every time, if having good relationships, and I don't go there for the coffee. The coffee is good at all three of them. So it's kind of interesting. It's always the people. I always tell people it's always the people. And when you got a problem in your business, it's somebody's causing that. You know, somebody's causing that. So it's an interesting subject of we all should be thinking more about why we go there, why we don't go there. And I think a lot of the stuff we teach with the Cockerell Academy is getting people to refocus what the real problem is in their business, not what they might think it is. And the people who know what your problem is are your customers and your employees. And if you can get them to talk to you and tell you and have a good interaction and do what they say and follow up and fix things they tell you, that's the best consultant in the world. The people who do the work, they know more about it than you'll ever know in your whole life. I used to say at Disney, the guys cleaning the bathrooms know more about cleaning bathrooms than Lee Cockerell does. So if I need some help in that area, I'm gonna talk to them, say, what do we need to do, guys? They know. And we've got to get through that barrier of thinking certain people don't know. The people who do the work know more than we'll ever know in our rest of our life. And we've got to treat them and make them feel special and professional. And there's gold in those hills. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was just in Victoria with my daughter, Victoria, British Columbia, and she wanted poutine because she got it last time we were in Victoria. We went to the same place. And Lee, have you ever had poutine?
I have had it once, and I think I was enough calories to last me the rest of my life.
Well, my daughter's 18, so she can sustain those calories pretty well. So
Yeah.
we went to the same place and we got there. I walk up to order, and the lady working said, "I'm sorry, we just closed." And it's at a food court at a mall. So
Yeah.
pretty easy. It's not like you had to walk in the door. And that was it. She just said, "I'm sorry, we're closed." And I said, "Well, do you know where else we could get poutine?" And she just said, "No." And I said, "Wait, you're telling me you don't know of another place in
She knows.
Victoria to get poutine?" And she just said, "No, sorry." And I thought, my goodness, I'll never come back. I would have come back here another time had she just said, "Oh, go try Frankie's down the road or something."
Every
And
place
I'd,
in Canada has it.
yeah, that's right. It's really easy to find. So I think that goes into what Lee was just telling us is it's about the people, it's about the impression, it's about how you make people feel. I went to Coffee for the Soul without you, Lee, the last time I was in Orlando. And the person who took my order, I walk up to the counter and she said, "I know you. You come here with Mr. Lee."
They
And it
they pay
it
attention.
yeah, it made me feel so welcome. Even though I live 2,500 miles away, she remembered me.
I have a friend I worked with at Marriott a gazillion years ago, and he's in IT and has been very successful in his own business. And this morning, he sent me a picture. Said I found a new place to have coffee, and he was at Coffee for the Soul. He always used to go to Starbucks. I'm going to meet him Friday morning there, but yeah, word of mouth, goes around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and where I live, we have small coffee shops everywhere. It's just part of the culture of Washington State and has been for a very long time. And people choose not because of the coffee, it's because the atmosphere, what does it feel like when I'm hanging out here? How do they treat me? And so I think that same thing is true no matter what you do. Lee, I remember years ago, and this is how I'll wrap the episode with this, that this is a good example of why you should not let your customers go elsewhere. Don't let them leave and try a competitor. Lee went to this, and you can correct me if my details are wrong, Lee. Lee went to the same dry cleaner for years, but they closed down for a week for some reason, vacation or whatever. And Lee really had to get some shirts done. And he went to another place and he said, "Wait a minute, they're way better. Their product is better. They treat me better." And that was it, right? Lee, you switched after that.
I did, and you know where I learned that lesson too was way back in my career. I worked at the Los Angeles Hilton, and we had a kind of a fancy dining room, then a coffee shop, and same in these kind of big old hotels. Often a nice place doesn't do that well because there's so many great freestanding restaurants around the neighborhood, and so uh, the decision was made we were going to close on Saturday and Sunday because somebody told me, Lee, when you close, you give your customers a chance to go try something else, and they might like it. And I never forget that. Don't give your customers a chance to go try somebody else if you can help it. Well, that's what we all do. You have a bad experience with somebody, you try somebody else. And that was always good because guests are not committed to you. They're loyal to you until they find a better deal. And we all know that. I go to the same place forever. By the way, I'll tell you, I go to Publix supermarket for 30 years, and I started looking at the prices. And the last 2 trips, I went to Walmart. Products are great. The prices are like 30% less. They got everything I was buying anyway, same brands. And the little package of those small Cokes, those little ones, they were like $9.99 at Publix and $6.99 at, I mean, and I'd always thought, oh, Walmart, that's low class play, they're, man, that's my place now. It is what you think something is, and what it is, you don't know until you go there and you find out for yourself. Impressive what they do. And so got to be careful that you can get in a routine, but you make sure you're always checking around and see what else is out there in the world. And you don't stay in a routine you're sorry about 30 years later. I wish I'd have switched or done this or done that, because we all get into committed to, or maybe loyal to, a person that's really not taking very good care of us, that there's better opportunities. So I'm keep learning these things about my attitude about Walmart was, I thought you just go there to get, some product, masking tape and stuff like that. And I hadn't been through the grocery section for a long time. Boy, their stuff is just fabulous and good pricing. And so a new lesson for me.
Yeah, well, there you go. And the big lesson for this episode, don't let your customers leave. They might not come
And
back.
pricing can do it, Some of this stuff's getting like, whoa. I mean, and I think it's time to kind of look around and see what you're paying for things, because there may be better days to get it online or another store. This is a time when inflation is really concerning. I
Yeah.
never used to pay attention to prices, but it's in my face now that it's gotten so big and so high. For some products, you go like, "What? What's going on here?" I got strawberries for $2.29. I went back to Publix and they were $4.99. I'll go like, holy, holy, holy.
Yeah, it starts to add up. Yes. Well, if you want more conversation or learning about this topic, customer service, go to cockerellstore.com. There's a course called World Class Customer Service. It will cover everything you need to turn your customer service around so your customers never leave you. Cockerellstore.com. Just scroll down. You'll see all of the courses, world class customer service being one of them. All right. Thank you for the great conversation, Lee. Thank you for joining us this episode. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.